Welcome to the Dairy News and Views podcast, a production of the Iowa State University Extension and Outreach Dairy Team. Our podcast covers current educational, research, and industry tools available for your operation to manage healthy cows and calves while producing the highest quality dairy products.
All right, everyone. Hello and welcome. Hola y bienvenidos to this episode of Spanish Fridays with the Dairy News and Views podcast from the ISU Extension Dairy Team. I'm your host, Gail Carpenter. I'm the State Dairy Specialist with Iowa State. I'm joined for the series by Miguel Rangel. He's the owner of Optimum Dairy Consulting. So in our Spanish Friday episodes, we are just practicing our Spanish a little bit, talking about employee management, talking about dairy management, and I am struggling with vocabulary, and Miguel is very patiently letting me struggle. So that's the only way to get better is to be bad at something.
To be bad, yes.
That's
They
right.
say perfection is the enemy of progress, right?
That is so true. Yes, absolutely. Perfectionism is counterproductive. I saw a quote at a conference I was at recently that I've seen before, but anything worth doing is worth being bad at. And I thought that was really well said. Because you are always going to be bad at something when you first start. And with that, I will continue to be bad at Spanish and hopefully just get a little bit better every time.
Yes, it's fine. It's okay, Gail.
All right. And today we are talking about calves again. Becerro is
Becerro.
right?
I was gonna tell you that
Yep.
calf is becerro. That's
Yes.
right.
So becerros is what we're in, and I forgot to practice my R rolls before to warm up my tongue a little bit, but will work. So we're talking today about becerros, and specifically, we are here at the beginning of November. The weather finally cooled down. We had a late fall and some pretty hot weather into the fall.
Yeah.
But finally, I know we're recording this before it's released. I'm not sure what the temperature is outside today, because that's the future from when we're recording right now. But I know I did have to turn the heat on in my house this week because it finally started to cool down. I love this time of year. I love cold weather. I really enjoy it. However, calves are not as good at it as we are, or as their adult cows are. Adult cows have this giant fermentation vat, the rumen, that basically makes a bunch of heat. And so cows are pretty tolerant, especially dairy cows that are housed in confinement, are pretty tolerant of cold. But baby calves, they have a lot more surface area for the body weight that they have, the surface area to body weight ratio. They dissipate heat a lot faster, and they don't have a rumen developed yet to be able to kind of have that heat generation. So calves are pretty intolerant of cold weather. So we have today we're going to be talking through a publication that is on our Extension Dairy Team website. We will have that linked in the show notes if you want to go check it out for yourself. It is a Spanish publication about becerros and el clima frío, right? So calves in cold weather, and strategies for these calves. So why I kind of explained a little bit, why we're interested in cold weather, particularly when it's coming into calves. But Miguel, talk us about this concept of we call it the thermal neutral zone, and it looks like in Spanish it's la zona thermoneutral. So
thermoneutral.
Yeah, so pretty close. The thermal neutral zone sounds pretty similar whether you're speaking in Spanish or English. But Miguel, what is the thermal neutral zone, and why is it important with calf care?
Well, yes, we have this. Well, we all have a thermoneutral zone, right? Where you are not going to be expending energy to keep yourself warm. For example, like you said, yeah, right now we are like at 49 degrees right now. So this is the time where you need a coat. Otherwise, you will be shivering and you will be spending your energy, right? So the same happens to calves. The thing is that calves when they are born, they don't have that much fat. So if they are going to be using that fat to raise the temperature, then those calves are not going to gain weight, right? They are going to be, the body is going to be busy raising the temperature instead of using the nutrients, or instead of using that for growth. So then you have calves that, let's say, will be at 32 degrees. That's below that. That's when the calf is going to need something to keep him warm. Especially the first, that's the thermoneutral zone. But below that, that's what I mentioned. That's when the calves are going to need some sort of help. So if you don't want the calf to use the fat reserves, the calf needs to be at that temperature. But I think this is something that I think this is, we are going to mention it, but this is very important. The problem with calves is when they are born, they are wet. So they need to be dry before you can, for example, move them outside or put a coat on them. Because
Yep.
if you move them outside, obviously a hutch is going to be empty. So the hutch is extremely cold. If you put a calf in there, the calf is going to cool off,
Yes.
right? If you put a coat, that all that moisture is going to keep the calf wet. So I think those are the some of the main consideration. The calf needs to be dry before it can be moved outside, or if you are going to put a coat, you need to make sure that the calf is dry before you put a coat. And I think this is very common these days. A lot of farms have a warm box, right?
Yep.
Hot box, they call it. So they have a heat lamp and they are cooling these, drying these calves, or they have a maternity pen with heat lamps. And especially, well, some of them have like a low ceiling. It's just a piece of plywood that they can lift or raise if they need to, right? So that way the air is not in that area. But anyway, yes, I guess I think that's pretty pretty clear by now what the thermoneutral zone is.
Yes. So we talked about becerro as our term for calf, right? Another term that we learned that I'm seeing right now in this article is recién nacido, the newborn calf. So
Yeah,
becerro recién nacido,
recién
so
nacido.
nacido. So we're talking here about the newborn calf in particular. Seco is a term that we learned previously for dry. So when we're talking about that newborn calf, making sure that they're dry, it's hard to those of us who have been, outside on a cold rainy day, that being cold and wet at the same time is a lot more dangerous than just being cold or just being wet. And so it's especially true for these newborn babies. So using a towel, using a heat lamp, or I love the drying boxes. They look like little toasters. That's always what I think of is
Pretty
is it's
much.
a calf toaster. So so I think they look cozy. But yeah, getting that calf dry as soon as possible, so that she's not having to fight both the cold and the wetness out there. One thing I'm seeing, so we talked about the thermal neutral zone, that 50 to 78 degrees for calves. Um, I'm also seeing here energía requerida,
Energía. Energy,
energía,
right?
energía
Energía.
requerida. Uh, so energy requirements para el mantenimiento, maintenance requirements.
Maintenance, right?
Yes, for
Maintenance.
for these newborn calves. So
I would
one of Go
I would
ahead.
say that for example, when you wanna make sure employees understand, or you wanna convey the point, it's you make sure you tell them that they need energy,
Yes,
necesitan energía, right?
energía. Yes,
Energía. That's, well, obviously, if you are going to feed more fat, that's energy, right? if you buy a balancer for your milk replacer, that is also energía, right?
Yes. Yes. And I do see here fermentación ruminal. So ruminal fermentation. By context, I'm saying un becerro, a calf, receives.
Re- receives
Yes. Poco calor. So poco I know is little.
little,
Uh,
and calor is heat.
okay, calor is heat. So un becerro recibe poco calor. A calf receives little heat de la fermentación ruminal from ruminal fermentation para ayudar to help.
To help.
And then I'm lost after that.
Well, it says that, for example, that because it's a baby calf, right? Rumen is not developed, so
Yes.
it receives very little heat from ruminal fermentation as opposed to a cow with a functional rumen
Yes.
that generates a lot of heat. It's like a furnace.
Yep.
So that's the difference with a calf, right? So a misconception is that because cows like cold weather because they are resilient and they
Yes.
don't thrive in hot weather, but a calf, he doesn't have the same. Right now, the calf is actually almost like a different animal
Yes.
because he doesn't have the same functional parts like a cow, right?
Yes.
Organs and systems. So that's what it says, yeah, that because it doesn't generate that much heat, right?
Yes.
So it doesn't have the same amount of calories ingested, right? So we need to make sure that whatever that calf eats is actually geared toward keeping the calf warm and growing.
Yes. So I see con pocas consumidas. Calorías.
Calories.
Yes. Con pocas calorías consumidas. With few calories consumed,
Yes.
esto puede provocar enfermedades. Enfermedades, sickness, right?
Yes.
So if they don't have enough calories that they've consumed, this can cause sickness.
Sickness, exactly. Enfermedades, sickness.
And then there's other, but I see mortalidad, which I assume means mortality.
Mortality, yes. In some cases, right? In some cases, mortality, right?
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
if it is extremely cold and the calf is, I mean, there is no bedding, he doesn't have a coat, it's wet, well, most likely the calf is not gonna make it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, bedding, we talk about the term bedding a lot. In Spanish, it is cama, right?
Cama. Yes.
Cama. But for example, if you wanna make sure you tell employees that the calves need more bedding, you can say los becerros necesitan más cama.
Más cama.
Or
Yes.
you just say más cama.
Más cama.
Más cama, which is more bedding.
Yes. I think we'll talk about this a little bit later too, but you really want to see those calves nesting, right? You really
Nesting.
want to, especially in the cold weather, you want to see them be able to burrow down into their little straw beds, right? That nesting score. And I know there's great resources online with pictures of the different nesting scores too. So I think that's yeah, you want to make sure that they have the ability to be able to burrow.
Exactly.
All right, let's talk about estrategias para el cuidado en el clima frío. So strategies for care in cold weather.
In cold weather.
You have it in front of you. I don't know if you would have understood what I was saying if I just read it. You have a cheat sheet. I think that's part of I don't part of learning, and we've talked about this before, is not just the being able to read the words, but also trying to get my mouth around the words is a challenge.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. Yes. So the first one that we have here, and we've talked about this a little bit, but the first one is las primeras. Oh shoot, 24? Is that 24? Yes.
Yes, 24.
Las primeras 24 horas. So the first 24 hours. Um, and we've talked previously on one of our previous episodes quite a bit about that maternity care. So we don't know if we really want to go into tons of detail here, but I think it's really important to talk about immunoglobulinas, the
The
immunoglobulins, the
antibodies,
IgGs. The other term that we learned for this is defensas. So
defenses.
antibodies. Yep. Yep. So trying to get 200 to 300 grams of immunoglobulins in that first couple hours of life there.
Yes. Another thing before I forget that we mentioned before, right? But we already talk about making sure the calf is dry, etc. But dip the navel. I
Yes.
mean, that one is so important to
Yes.
dip the navel as soon as possible in iodine,
Yes.
making sure that it is not absorbing, because remember that navel is a highway into
Yes.
the calf's body. So if
Yes.
you have bacteria traveling, well, the calf is going to have issues right away.
Yes. And ombligo was the term we learned for navel.
Obligo is the term for navel, yes.
Yep. Iodo for iodine.
Yes.
Um, and sumergir. Is that what sumergir?
That one will be to dip.
To dip. Yep.
Dip, submerge.
All right. The next estrategia that we see is
The strategies, yes.
this next strategy is temperaturas frías equals más compras. I don't know what I know. Temperaturas must be temperature. Frías, cold temperatures. I don't know what más compras means.
Well, to be honest, me neither. I don't know why I gave a couple. I need to
Let's
talk
ask
to the
Google
author.
Translate.
So
Más
I
compras.
think they mean that cold temperature,
More purchases is what
you need more energy, right?
so when I put más compras into Google Translate, it says more purchases. Does that mean it's more costly? Because right, I see that they're talking about calorías. I see that they're talking about energéticas, energy. So I think this goes back to the discussion we were having about
No, I think it is like you said, obviously when you have cold temperatures, you need to have you need to have more more of everything, right? You need to have coats, you need to maybe add more fat to the milk, maybe you need
mhm,
to feed more milk, right? You
mhm,
need to buy a different kind of milk, right? So everything is gonna be more expensive. So
yes,
more colder temperatures are require you to buy more things for your calves.
yes. And we talked about that quite a bit. And those that want to know more information can check out the publication. But basically, we're trying to get more calorías, more energía, more energy into these calves, more groceries. As I've heard some
More
people,
groceries.
I've started using that term a bit too. I picked it up from some old extension guys. You got to get the groceries in the calves. Um, so getting them that energy and that protein because we don't want to just feed them on a maintenance diet because their maintenance requirement does not include growth and it does not include keeping their modulating that body temperature.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, our third strategies is mantener la leche tibia y consistente. So maintain, no, leche is milk. I know we've talked about consistente Oh, consistente,
Mm-hmm.
consistency.
Consistent.
Tibia is a bone in your leg. So I don't
Oh,
know.
that's a bone, exactly, a bone in your leg. So I don't know why this is here. No. No, tibia has another meaning, right?
Yes.
Tibia also means warm. But
Oh,
in
okay.
English, you call it like lukewarm, I guess.
Oh,
So,
gotcha. So
so
it's not
those
like
are
calor or caliente. It's not hot. It's
mhm,
tibia. Okay.
it's tibia, right? So you want warm milk, and
Yes.
that's why it's a stevia
And the consistency is
and
really
the
important there too.
consistency.
Making sure, and I know we're talking about consistency of temperature, but also consistency of solids is also important to make sure that that calves are having a consistent product and it's not upsetting the osmotic balance of the GI tract.
Yes, because what I like about this part is very well explained. Same volume, same quantity of solids, same time every day, same temperature. So that's
Yes.
what you aim all the time. But like it says, between 101 and 105 Fahrenheit. So that means that you need to mix it a little
Yeah.
higher, 115, let's say. So
Yes.
when you deliver, you are delivering around that temperature. And I'm telling you, this is so important because even last week I was at a farm where the temperature at which the milk was mixed was like 105. But by the
Yes.
time you deliver the milk, you know, it's not 1.5. It already
Right.
lost
And it's
some
even,
heat.
especially if you're feeding calves outdoors, especially if you're feeding a lot of calves, and especially as the weather gets colder, it's really
Yes.
hard to maintain that temperature. And cold milk is a killer for calves. It's really important that we make sure that milk stays warm, especially in that cold weather. Um, but yeah, I appreciate this. Tibia, leche tibia y consistente. Um, Warm
Hmm.
and consistent. I also see our fourth strategy is agua tibia. So warm water is essential. Essential.
Essential, right?
Yes.
Essential.
So warm water is essential as well. And we know that's true because it has to stay warm for them to be able to drink it. Otherwise, it's frozen. And
Well, especially
yeah,
in winter, right? So you just have to make sure that, right, they drink milk, and
yeah,
after 30 minutes at least, then you can go back and give them water.
yes,
So that way they have, especially if you can have warm water, yes, that would be great. Because, when talking
yes,
about colder temperatures, that water is going to freeze. So there's going to be a point in which the water is going to be, well, I wouldn't even say extremely cold. It's going to be frozen.
yes,
So we need to make sure the calves have water all the time
yes,
available.
yes,
Obviously, not at 2 a.m. in the morning, I guess at that time. It's just, you
yeah.
just, next morning you're gonna take care of that, but you know what I
Is
mean.
is claves a word or is it a typo?
No, claves, yes.
Claves. What is claves?
So that it says uh,
I think I know
all
what it
this
says. I think it says
digestion.
offering. So ofrecerles,
Mhm.
ofrecerles, offering agua en el frío, offering water in the cold, puede ser un desafío. I don't know what desafío is, but I see offering water
Challenge.
in the, okay, offering water in the cold can be a challenge, pero es esencial para la digestión del becerro. So
Mhm.
offering water in the cold can be a challenge, but it is essential for digestion in the calf.
Yes.
And then I got digestion. Yeah, and then I'm lost after that. But I've got the first half of the first sentence, so
Yeah,
I feel like that's good.
that's pretty good.
Yes.
I would give you a C plus.
Oh, yes, average. I love
No,
it.
it says here digestion and early feeding are key, right? So
Oh,
claves is
claves is key. Oh, is key. Is
key.
alimentación, is that feeding?
Feeding, yes.
Alimentación. That's a word that I should probably write down because I'm sure it'll come up more than once. And yeah, it's we know that water improves rumen function. Offering water to calves improves rumen function, improves rumen development. We've done some work here at Iowa. I haven't, but some of my colleagues here at Iowa State have done some work that has shown that. So giving water to calves, and it's hard in the winter, but because you do put it out in the buckets and it does freeze, and then you have to dump it out. You see all those, you walk through the calves, you see all those pucks of like the frozen water that get dumped out there. Like making sure calves have a chance to drink at least some water is important para la digestión del becerro, for their digestion.
Exactly.
And you want it to be warm. If it's warm, it won't freeze as quickly. But also, if you're outside in the cold, you want a warm beverage. You don't want to, especially if you just drank a warm milk, you don't want to douse your stomach with a bunch of cold water at the same time. So make sure agua tibia, warm
Yes.
water, is
Mhm.
esencial. Okay, and then our next strategy is in iniciador. I don't know what that means, but I know de becerros is for calves, dia tres. So 3-day-old calves. What's iniciador?
Iniciador is the starter feed.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so insight, start, iniciador. I can see that.
Iniciador.
For those that are listening, it's spelled Iniciador.
So, for example, to start in Spanish is iniciar, right? To
Yes.
start something. So in this case, this is the starter feed. So we call it alimento iniciador or just iniciador. The same way
Okay.
in English, you just say starter. Sometimes you don't say starter feed. You just say, oh, feed them starter. But you
Gotcha.
know what they mean.
Iniciador. I feel like this will be an important word for me. A big research project that I had the opportunity to collaborate in and have been presenting a few different places, focused on starter feeding, and different formulations for starter. So I feel like
Mhm.
I should lock this one in. Iniciador, starter.
In-
Another thing
Start.
that's very important for rumen development. And
Yes,
um,
exactly.
it's good even in warm weather, right? Because it's what gets that rumen started. Starter feed should be something that we're looking at when we decide to wean calves. Calves should be weaned by age, but also by in a perfect world, they're also weaned by when they've hit an appropriate level of starter intake, because then you can avoid a post-weaning slump in growth. Um, and that's true regardless of the clima, the weather.
The weather,
But
right?
yeah. But especially if that rumen is a heat vat and trying to get that heat vat going.
Exactly. And I guess when we talk about this, something that it's important to note and remember is that I know in some places it varies, but some places they give those calves a lot of feed, a lot of starter. They don't need a full bucket.
Yeah.
It's just a handful, right?
Yep.
A handful for your employees. Tell them un
Puño.
puño, like a fist, but it doesn't translate exactly the same. In English, you say a handful. In Spanish,
Yep.
you say
Un
un
puño.
puño, right? So they don't need
A full bucket.
50 ounces
Yes.
of starter, right?
Yeah. They need something to
Uh,
chew on so they can learn to start nibbling on it. But if
and
you
if
give
you
them,
want to check every day, that's fine, but you make sure they have. The other thing that if you give a lot, the problem is that sometimes it, especially, well, in winter is not an issue, but if you have that tendency, remember that feed that gets wet, it's
yeah.
going to create molds
Yep. Yep.
during the summer. So it's better always to have
Yeah.
that tendency or that strategy where you make sure the feed is dry. You just give a little bit.
Yes. And it won't mold as much in the winter, but even if it's soggy, right? Even if it gets wet, even if it's not
It's going
molding,
to
that's still not as palatable to the calves, and they don't want to eat it as much. So
exactly.
making sure And yeah, we always encourage people to dump out starter that's moldy or dirty or wet. And if you're feeding them a lot more than they need, that's just a waste of money.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
all right, our sixth strategy is with exclamation points. It's apparently a very important one.
Oh yeah, that's an important
Yes.
one.
Saquen las chaquetas de becerros. Again, the only word I know in there is becerros, the calves. What else is going on there? It's important. I've got the
Well,
exclamation points.
C minus now.
What's that?
C minus because you only knew
Oh,
one word.
I know. I know.
Well, saquen las chaquetas is like get the coats out, right?
Oh, saquen las chaquetas. Yes.
Yes, saquen las chaquetas de becerros, right?
Get the coats out. Yes.
Get the coats out. So yeah, so just like us, right? It says we need coats, and that's what the first thing you do. Oh, it's getting colder. You get a coat, and that extra layer is going to protect you, just like we said. Well,
Yes.
same with calves. The thing is that if it gets cold, like today, like this morning, and they have nothing, they are going to be shivering and losing energy and at no avail because there
Yeah.
are no coats.
Yes. This is a chaquetas. That's another word that when you say it out loud, I hear
Oh,
how it sounds like jacket. But when I
well,
see
because
it
it's what
spelled
it
out, it
is.
looks nothing like jacket. Yeah.
Yeah, right. When you say it out loud, chaqueta, but yeah,
Yes.
it's jacket. That's
Chaquetas.
where
Yeah.
it comes from.
Yes.
Another, you also use the word coat
Hmm.
or vests because it's
Yep.
like a vest for
Yep.
calves. But you in Spanish you will say chamarra, chaqueta, or we say chaleco. So those three,
Yeah.
chamarra, chaqueta, or chaleco. Chaleco. So if you
Chaleco.
say get a coat, trae un chaleco, they know it's a vest for calves.
Gotcha.
Okay, because they look kind of like a vest,
Yeah. Yeah.
when
They don't have sleeves.
they don't have sleeves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Chaqueta, for those who are listening and not seeing what I'm sharing, is Chaqueta. Chaqueta. Oh, I'm gonna fail on this one too. Hongase. Honghase. What's what is this?
Like
Honase.
to póngase is like get yourself in, get yourself in. In this
Oh,
case, is in the environment of the calf, right? So get yourself in the environment.
okay. So this
Póngase
is
en
what
su medio ambiente.
okay. I tell people this a lot too. If you're looking, if you want, and don't just for, especially for calves, but also for cows, get in the pens, feel what the temperature is in the pens, breathe, get down at the calf level and breathe down at the calf level. Are you smelling a lot of ammonia? Is the air heavy or is it hard to breathe down at the calf level? Is it cold or too hot down at the calf level? Because I'm not particularly tall. I'm 5'3", but calves are quite a bit shorter than I am. And so it does take
Yeah.
sometimes getting yourself down there to actually feel what the calves are feeling and smell what the calves are smelling.
And smell like the calves are smelling. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Our
Well,
eighth.
one more thing that it's, you know, even if you have hutches, for example,
Mhm.
even though you may think, well, it's cold inside the hutch, it's not as cold, right? So, but it is always important to make sure there is enough bedding because that bedding is the insulation
Mhm.
between the calf and the urine and manure underneath. So you don't want the calf to be wet yet. I think in winter
Mhm.
is when even if you bathe 2 times a day, usually in winter you may have to bathe 3 times a week, not a day,
Yep.
a
Yep.
week, just to make sure you are keeping on top. And just because weather events, right? So if you have a snowy day or if you had rain, maybe freezing rain, I don't know. The thing is that if you think the calves need more bedding, well, why not, right?
Yeah.
Because at that point, that's the only thing that those calves have to, well, I would say, to keep them from the cold environment outside.
Yeah. All right. Our eighth strategy is observe el becerro. So observe the calves. It looks like we're talking, I see Universidad de Wisconsin, so the University of Wisconsin. I know that they have una evaluación. So they have a way of a calf health scorecard. And so by context, I'm assuming they're talking about that, but I don't know. So puntaje is a score. I say 3, 2, 1. So I'm assuming that goes back to a scorecard of some type, but I'm not sure. Is this the respiratory scorecard? Is this like health scorecard? What are we talking about right here?
This is the scorecard you use to evaluate how much bedding you have in the
Oh, this
pen.
is the nesting score. Okay.
Yes, the nesting score.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. So puntaje de tres, score of 3. Is the calf is not visible?
The legs are not
The
visible.
legs, piernas, the legs are not visible.
Mhm.
And so that's a deep bedding.
Yeah, that will mean you're doing a good job, or the calf is just perfectly fine.
I think maybe we found another typo, Miguel, because it looks like the score of 1 and the score of 3 are the same.
Wow, yes, I will give you an A plus because it
Yes.
is true.
Yeah.
There is a typo. I didn't know
Yes.
you were gonna notice, but good. Exactly. Because the number 2, you can partially see the legs, so
Yes.
that is the score is 2. But yeah, 1 is when you can actually see the legs. So
Yes.
that means they don't have a lot of bedding. So that should say piernas visibles instead
Yes.
of
We just
no
have to
visible.
take the no out.
No
Piernas
out. Yeah.
visibles cuando en becerro esté acostando. Acostando, is that
Acosta.
lying down?
Lying down.
Acostado? Lying down.
Yes.
Acostado. Yeah, obviously you
Mhm.
want to see the legs when they're standing up. That would be very deep setting.
And then it says if you have the coats on, that gives you 1 more point.
Okay. That makes sense.
Makes sense, right?
All right. Strategy 9 is aire fresco es necesario aún el invierno. I'm thinking this is talking about fresh air is necessary. I
Mhm.
think I know invierno, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. Inside?
Invierno is winter.
Winter. Yes. Fresh air is
That which is
necessary even
another good
in
word.
winter.
Winter. Yes. Good word to remember. Invierno, winter. Invierno.
Invierno. And that's what we were talking about with ventilation. Making sure positive pressure tubes, great tool.
Exactly.
You want,
Just remember that calves cannot live in caves.
yes,
So if it is an environment that is almost like a cave, that's not
yes.
gonna help.
We don't want them to be drafty. We don't want them to be, we don't want the air to be drafty. We don't want the air to be stale. We don't want the air to be too cold. So all of those
Ah,
things
this
don't
calf.
always go together very well. That's why we hire engineers.
It's a balancing act. Yes, I
Yes.
know.
And the positive pressure tubes, that's one reason I'm a big fan of them is because they don't blow air away. They displace air. So they very gently displace the stale air with fresh air without creating a draft. So
So
they're
it's like,
great.
for example, when you are sleeping at night and you open your window because it was kind of warm, but then at night it's really cold.
Yeah.
You also, or actually very likely, you get up and close the window. It's a draft. The problem is that calves, they can't go and close the window.
Right.
So
Yes.
it's on us to make sure they are comfortable.
Yes. All right. And the last one is El Estudio dice dot dot dot. The studies say,
Mhm.
and they're talking about La Universidad de Cornell. They're talking about studies from Cornell University. I see un periodo, so a period of 10 years.
A period of
10
10 years.
años. Yep. Is this talking about una libra de aumento al día? 1 pound
1 pound of gain. Yes.
1 pound of gain results in 150 pounds more milk in first lactation.
Yes, in the first lactation. That is correct. So if your calves can gain one pound a day,
Yes.
so pretty much they will gain 150 pounds the first lactation, right?
Yes.
So, and they kept doing it. They were recording the next and the future lactations up to 3, right? 3 lactations, and they estimated a total of 2,280 pounds more of milk. Right?
Yeah. So taking care of calves pays off, whether that is in cold weather or warm weather, making sure you're getting groceries to the calves, making sure that you're providing those calves the care and the facilities that they need to be able to grow and do their best. Those pay off in the long run. So, all right,
really...
I don't know about you, Miguel, but I have a lot of new words in my head. Actually, I know you don't have a lot of new words in your head.
No, not really.
But my brain's starting to get tired, and I'm sure our listeners are also, their brains are starting to get tired as well. So I hope everyone enjoyed our conversation today. Hopefully picked up a couple extra vocabulary words along the way. If you want to learn more about the stuff that we work on, you can check out our website. Mine with the Extension Dairy Team is extension.iastate.edu/dairy team. We'll also link the publication that we've been reading through in the show notes below, but that's also available on our website. And then if you want to learn more about Miguel's work, you can visit him at optimumdairy.com. Nos vemos a la siguiente semana, everyone. See you next week.
Okay, nos vemos. Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
This institution is an equal opportunity provider. For the full non-discrimination statement or combination inquiries, go to www.extension.iastate.edu/diversity/ext.